Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. And greetings and flatulations.
Long time no see.
Part 2 of Political Compass.
Kind of, sort of, part 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we didn't do part 2.
I don't know.
I thought it was like
We'll find out later.
The first thing of going through the political compass test questions, and then there was another one, and now this one.
Excuse me. Could be.
I think we attempted to, but I don't know if we...
Whatever the case may be.
I don't know.
We've had a lot of stuff going on.
2 or 3, we're not sure. Anyways, so previously we did the political compass tests, all of us did, and found out where we're at. Most of us are on the right of some sort, libertarian or authoritarian, a little bit. Now we're going to kind of place into these buckets different ideologies, and they may not all be as we initially think. I guess, was Nazism actually far right wing, as everyone says, or was it a little bit left wing? Mm-hmm. Is socialism being in the same bucket potentially as Nazism? Is it nationalist or is it not? I don't know. Nazism gets a lot of attention from being nationalist.
Yeah.
Socialism, not so much. I don't know. We can delve into that. And also, going forward, there's political rifts happening in the U.S. on traditional conservatism and leftism sides that we haven't seen in the past. What does that mean for the future? We'll find out. Mm-hmm. This time on IronCast. Cut to intro.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I guess we can start with, what are the ideologies that we're discussing? Mm-hmm. Tell mine if I borrow the notepad here.
Yeah.
You want one too? What do you got?
If you want another pen, I can go grab one.
Got one here.
Okay.
Carries one around in his pocket.
Yes, I do. It's a fancy metal one.
Okay.
So we have, of course, the obvious Nazis. The old Nazis.
Nazis.
We have socialism. We have, we have authoritarian on the political compass. We have libertarian. We have,
Do you throw progressivism in there?
Sure.
Because, that's part of the left.
Is it?
Progressive.
I
considered generally to be centered left.
Yeah, conservatism.
Let's see what, because on the, the second of those tests that I took, it had the progressive versus whatever is like a separate little bar next to the grid.
Oh, okay.
But I can't remember how exactly it was, but.
We have neoconservatism, the old neocons. You have...
what would you call the hard left, like what we call woke mindset?
You can call it black bloc or...
to the extent of like Bernie.
Antifa.
Well, of course, at least in terms of the political compass thing, it's in terms of an economic left versus an economic right. So it's a bit different to my understanding.
Yeah. But at that point, what are we defining as economic? So I guess maybe taxation, perhaps?
And that's what I was trying to look up, and it's found just looking, obviously I'm just, good, trusty old Wikipedia, but because it's got a political compass article. But
nice.
It says, in economic terms, the political left is defined as a desire for the economy to be run by a cooperative collective agency, which can mean a sovereign state, but also a network of communes, while the political right is defined as a desire for the economy to be left to the devices of competing individuals and organizations.
Okay.
Yeah.
So collectivism versus capitalism.
Yeah, this on that grid that we were looking at, along the side it says voluntary regional collectivism, and that's the libertarian left. It goes down, and then state imposed collectivism is the authoritarian left. So is that what they're talking about, economic scale? Because they're saying the economic scale is going left to right.
Yes.
Social scale goes up and down.
Right.
Yeah.
So like libertarian versus whatever that other thing
Yeah.
is.
Libertarian and authoritarian.
Authoritarian.
And then left and right is economic. Left and right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And just as just on the politicalcompass.org website, like for example, it puts North Korea at like the far left authoritarian corner.
The
Yes.
far left.
Yeah, I'm looking at that one. North Korea, far left, hard left, authoritarian. Yeah.
So that would be the state. Like the economy is run by
the state.
the organization. Well, not the organizations, by we'll say the sovereign state sort of thing, and they control it. It's like basically everything is the state. It's like, and they control, and they're like the social things as well as the economy stuff.
Funny thing you mentioned that all things are the state, because that was a quote from Benito Mussolini.
Oops.
Widely considered right-wing fascist. He was fascist, of course, but everyone says right-wing. Nothing but the state, everything under the state, something to that effect. Nothing outside of the state. So that sounds awfully communistic, right?
Yeah. And it puts China sort of in the middle, middle between left and right, but
high authoritarian,
like less than North Korea, but one notch down. It's one notch down from.
Is that the same website I'm looking at?
I'm on the politicalcompass.org is where I'm at.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And then Saudi Arabia is right, on the right side of authoritarian, as well as Singapore. And then it has Uruguay or Switzerland on the pretty hard right, but
center
less authoritarian, like below the line, below the median line on authoritarian, closer to libertarian, but not very close. It's just like one grid, one segment of grid down or two. I guess that just gives you a range of what sort of, I noticed it did not put the United States on that list because we're all over the place.
Yeah.
I guess that's the beauty of the United States. It's okay if you're all over the place. If you have people of different mindsets.
It just means that, my thought has always been, it's a lot easier to, have, when your country is, over 300 million people, finding something that all of them agree on is going to be next to impossible.
Yeah.
So therefore having the same set of rules for everybody is going to make a lot of people not happy.
Yes.
Right. The best thing you can do in that case is make it so that they can all operate as freely as they possibly can in that system without hurting people.
Yeah, without infringing on other people's.
Looking at you, Muslims.
Okay. Wait, what are these plus signs? USA. It's got a button over here.
Oh, that's for
that's just
elections.
presidential election. That's not helping us. Okay. So what are we going to do with all those? Did we kind of get the general?
I think we've set the chessboard here as to where everything should go. Yeah,
it just means that talking of left and right in the context of the compass thing is not equivalent to the left and right in the normal
political.
Yeah, in the normal sense of that people think about it.
I think it would also make sense to, instead of economic left and right, because that kind of confuses people. I think it could also be seen as social left and social right. And that I think would make more sense just in conversational context.
Yeah, and it's saying the social scale is between
that's the authoritarian,
libertarian and authoritarian.
Well,
that's how it's defining it. We don't have to define it that way.
Well, I guess you could have authoritarian well, to a certain point. At a certain point, they start looking the same.
Mm-hmm.
Authoritarianism is like, well, it doesn't matter where you started out, left or right. I have no freedom.
Right.
But you could have, say, an Antifa was in charge of the government, right? That would be
Lord
far
have mercy.
left authoritarianism.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if you had neo-Nazis
Right.
in charge of the government, that would be seen at more as far right authoritarianism.
Mm-hmm.
And they would look, they would go about things
They would
differently.
behave similarly.
They would behave similarly, but I would also go about things a little differently than each other.
Mm-hmm.
Or Islamic countries, say, if you want to
Right.
replace neo-Nazis with Islamic countries,
Uh-huh.
Saudi Arabia or Dubai or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
where they chop people's hands off if you steal something.
Right.
That's authoritarian, right? I would say in those countries.
Yeah, that's what this graph is calling it.
In those contexts, they are
Highly
very
authoritarian.
conservative.
Right.
Conservative in context of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we'll find, I think that a lot of these are very contextual, what environment you're in.
Yeah.
So if we were in Saudi Arabia as conservative Americans, we would be seen as
Very liberal.
far liberal.
Yeah.
You want freedom? Excuse me?
Yeah.
Get out of here with that.
You want to walk around without a, shroud over your head.
So we would be seen as so subversive lefties over there.
Well, and let's not throw Saudi Arabia under the bus. When I was in Israel in 2019, I was considered hard left liberal just because I had a shirt that showed my shoulders.
Oh yeah.
And I was frowned upon heavily for that. So it's not just Saudi Arabia. It's it's
Yeah, but you're not gonna get
countries
stoned over
that-
there for it.
Very conservative.
Yeah, you don't get stoned. You just get frowned on. But you have to take into account their, would you call it, religious structure?
Mhm.
Because that's going to define, even if they're authoritarian or libertarian, it's going to define what they consider to be authoritarian or libertarian.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's why they make it. And I almost think, they've made it a grid, well, 4 quadrants grid. It could almost be a circle because like you said, when, if you are hard left and hard right, eventually you're going to meet
Mhm.
and you're going to be similar, like you were saying.
So it could almost be instead of a square, a diamond. You just turn it on its side.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You call
So-
it a diamond.
So instead of like this, left, right,
Mm-hmm.
authoritarian, libertarian.
Mm-hmm.
At a certain point, both left and right, they end up looking the same to the individual
Yeah.
because they
That's
have
a
no
good way to
freedom,
put it.
right? Doesn't
Yeah,
matter
we got
if this is the Soviet Union or Afghanistan. If I can't, live anywhere near freedom.
Right.
So,
I think that's a better way to describe it.
So I guess let's go down the list of Nazism. So typically seen as far right wing, they were in the camp of the state had ultimate control, yes. However, they left the businesses in the hands of private individuals. Like, for instance, Oskar Schindler in the movie, he owned his factories. As long as he did what they wanted him to, he was allowed to stay in business with government oversight. The minute he stopped doing what they wanted him to do, they would have taken him away
Mm-hmm.
and given it to someone else. So they had ultimate control over private business. As long as the person did what they wanted them to, no problem. So I think that's the main difference between, say, Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union at the time, and until the fall of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union had ultimate control over everything. So there was no private business involved in their production. The workers seized the means of production, and the state owned everything.
Okay.
There was no businessman making money, because if you made money, you were seen as a capitalist, and that was evil.
Right.
So Oskar Schindler wouldn't have made it in the Soviet Union. But the Nazis didn't mind if he made a buck on the side, as long as
they got their portion.
As long as he did what they wanted him to, and he was serving the state, he could make a buck, and they wouldn't care. So I think that's the main difference between the two. But as far as freedom goes, I think they're both on the authoritarian side for sure. And it looks like that's widely recognized. Fascism is authoritarian mid-right here.
Our trusty Wikipedia called it a far-right totalitarian ideology. So how does totalitarian differentiate from authoritarian?
I knew a better answer than that at one point, but
A form of government that prohibits opposition from political parties, disregards and outlaws the political claims of the individual and group opposition to the state, and completely controls the public sphere and the private sphere of society.
And that was
Totalitarianism.
Okay.
I don't know what the definition
authoritarianism seems to be a little
authoritarianism.
less radical as far as
in the exercise of power. The difference between a totalitarian regime and an authoritarian one is one of degree, whereas totalitarianism features a charismatic dictator and a fixed worldview. Authoritarianism only features a dictator who holds power for the sake of holding power. That second sentence doesn't sound that helpful, but I think I'd probably agree with the difference of degree.
Yeah, authoritarianism seems less radical than.
Yeah, it's like authoritarianism is kind of like all the power fixed in one place, but totalitarianism takes that power and does more with it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Sees total control over the populace and more facets and those sorts of things.
Okay. So it's just more extreme.
Yeah.
Lovely.
But in social circles, was Nazism that different from Stalinism?
Well, when you were defining, when you were talking about Nazism, what hit Stalinism, or what Stalin did, was he controlled all production and took the proceeds, like almost all the proceeds of the production for like the cities, and everyone else starved. That's where all the deaths came from, was they starved.
Which is like,
so that was like extreme. So would that be totalitarianism?
I would think so, yeah. Which also indicates why corruption is so big in socialist countries. Because in order, like the middle managers in socialist countries, say you're a middle manager at a factory making a government widget, and you want some on the side, you can take a bribe. Okay, so-and-so wants to fast track this production of widgets from factory B, needs something from factory A a little bit faster than we want to produce it. Well, Mr. So-and-so from factory B, I can make that happen for you, but it's going to cost you. Under the table, government doesn't need to know about this, and I'll fast track that production for you. Fine, okay, I'll give you the bribe, and I'll take that money that I bribed you with I'll sneak it from the government in a different way. So lots of corruption everywhere, and that wouldn't happen as much in something like Nazi Germany, where you can have you can have a capitalistic.
You can have your income as long as the state gets it.
As long as it doesn't mess with what they're doing.
Right.
They don't mind you.
So
having your economic little bit.
How is our tax system different from that?
Good question.
We can have an income as long as the government gets theirs, and they will come after us if they don't get theirs.
Yeah.
Do we have to guess at my thought pattern on taxation?
But socially speaking, that's the economic side of things. Socially speaking, from the point of view of the individual living in Nazi Germany versus the Soviet Union, they had very little freedom outside of the economic sector to say things that were subversive. Of course, they couldn't. If you spoke against the state in both instances, you would be disappeared. Right, in the middle of the night, gone. Your neighbors wouldn't know, or they hear a bump in the night and they wouldn't question it. So that was the same between the two. No freedom of speech. Freedom of religion was highly quashed in both instances. course, in Nazi Germany, you had technically, if there was a very narrow lane that you could walk of being religious,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a form of Catholicism, but even Hitler wasn't all that fond of Catholicism. So you could be generic Christian and be, I think, okay. In the Soviet Union, that was banned right out. No religion. Everyone was atheist.
Oh, well,
by state mandate.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. Atheism was state mandated in the Soviet Union and is still in socialist countries because, and this is also why it was kind of frowned upon in Nazi Germany, it was seen as a community outside of their control. This predates us, and this is something we can't, that will resist our control. If there is a God that is above us, and they think that, well, they're not going to obey us if we tell them to do something that is against their God. So we have to quash that and, make sure that doesn't happen. We are the ultimate authority, no matter what. So that was the same in both instances. That if it went against the state or what the state said, you're disappeared. So limited freedom of religion to no freedom of religion. Same in both cases. Can you think of any other rights that would be relevant?
I had one in my head just a little bit ago, but it's gone. So
I guess freedom of property. Of course, in the Soviet Union, property was
belonged to the state.
Yeah, everything
period.
belonged to the state. You couldn't own your house. You couldn't own. If you had 2 donkeys, well, you're a capitalist, and out you go. And the kulaks, well, in Ukraine during the Summer Revolution. What's the Summer Revolution? Anyways, when they went through Ukraine, the revolutionaries did, and got rid of all the farmers, and they subsequently starved because no one knew what they were doing.
No one knew how to farm because they imprisoned or killed all the farmers.
So property in Germany at the time, I think, you could have, once again, property as long as you treaded carefully. Right. But ultimately the state can do whatever they wanted to you. If you popped up on the radar in an unwanted way. It's almost like the Soviet Union was worse than Nazi Germany in a lot of respects.
Yeah. Well, I'm okay, and I get it out of order. I have a Post-it note on my desk, and when I was studying like Stalin, Mao, Hitler, and I kept getting them out of order, and I can't remember if it was Stalin, Mao, Hitler.
As far as death toll?
No, as far as when it happened.
Oh.
Because Hitler learned from the other 2. That's how Hitler, I'm pretty sure Hitler was the last one in the, I'm just going to have to do a,
okay, wait.
I get it confused. That's why I have a Post-it note.
Because during World War II, the Chinese Civil War was still going on. And during World War II, they kind of put that to the side and fought the Japanese. And then after the war, they picked it back up again. And the Taiwan-China Civil War. And then the government of China, the Free Government of China, was ousted to Taiwan. And Mao took over mainland China. And he won the main war for mainland China.
Okay. Stalin, 1917, give or take some. I have to hit more. Okay, so in my head, Stalin, 1924. Hitler, 1921. So Stalin, Hitler, Mao, 1949. Okay, Stalin, Hitler, Mao. Hitler learned from Stalin. And I'm not saying he learned everything he knew from Stalin, but he did look at Stalin. How did he succeed? And whether it was murderous or not, he was like, okay, how did he get power? and then Hitler, and then Mao learned from both of them. So
Well,
odd
Stalin
stuff.
was a common street thug before he went to government.
Well, wasn't
He was in a gang.
Yeah, I haven't studied this for probably 5 years at minimum. But Stalin, that was the whole workers had an uprising, revolution, got rid of leadership, became the leadership, destroyed the workers, the farmers, and starved their people.
Yeah.
So they became what they wanted to destroy. So yeah, he was.
Yeah, Lenin took power on the ideology. Stalin was one of his enforcers.
Okay.
He went to Stalin and was like, okay, he's a common street thug. You know, he can beat people up and intimidate them.
Yeah, appointed by Lenin.
Yeah. And eventually, as Lenin's health went away, Stalin positioned himself as the second in command. And because there was a few others, some of which who would later supersede Stalin, like Gorbachev was in that circle of who knew Lenin. And of course, once Stalin died, he eventually became the premier. And there are a few others that Brezhnev, I think, was one of them.
I know that name, but I'm just
really bushy eyebrows.
Yeah.
Bushy eyebrow man.
Which one was the guy with the fingers? Anyway.
That was Gorbachev.
Gorbachev.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Gorbachev. He was in that circle, but he was kind of on the outskirts, I think. The one I'm thinking of was the guy who was famous for banging on the table at the UN.
Is there a Baryshnikov?
No.
I don't know who that is either.
Not that I know
I'm
of.
honestly talking about things I don't know enough about.
The one who was in the 50s. I can't think of his name. Real hothead.
Oh, Baryshnikov was Russian.
Well, they were all Russian.
Yeah, because they were all Russian, huh?
I mean, you want to talk about Russian-sounding names. That's a Russian-sounding name.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Go on, yeah. Mikhail Baryshnikov, that was the name that stuck in my head. I don't know. In 1980, he returned as artistic director. Okay, cool. Weird.
But yeah.
He was in ballet.
Ballet. Fascinating.
Okay. Sorry.
Man carved
He
with
may
bugs.
not have even be a political. No, yeah, he was a dancer, choreography, and actor. Okay, so shows you how much I know. Don't listen to me. Study.
That's gonna bug
Okay.
me.
So I don't know who the other guy is that you're talking about.
It is gonna bug me. Hold on.
Put famous Russians.
No, there's too many of them.
Yeah, that's not gonna narrow things down. a lot.
Political?
Let me get. It's like I can definitely get like at least a couple that are going to be high up on that list. But
What?
well, obviously like
Stalin, Lenin,
Putin.
Putin. Which I'm sorry, my brain is just wired for humor, I think, and not that I can produce it myself, but I see it in other things. So every time somebody says Putin, I just start giggling in my head. Sorry, I'm sure he's a nice guy.
Are you sure?
Not really, but Mikhail Gorbachev.
Khrushchev. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, he was the hothead.
1955 to 1964.
It's funny that
Known
you
for
guys
denouncing Stalin's policies.
It's funny how you both found it at basically
Yeah,
the exact same time. But
Boris Yeltsin was the first president of the Russian Federation.
He drank himself to death.
Just
are you guys looking at the
which
same
one?
list?
Yeltsin or Khrushchev?
Yeltsin drank himself to death.
Oh, poor guy. Stalin had a heart attack. I read across that a minute ago.
What a shame. Anyway.
It was like, oh no. Anyway.
Yeah.
How did we like that? We chased that rabbit all the way back to the little bunny happened.
But anyway, so my assertion is that Nazism and socialism on the social scale look very similar to the common man.
Okay. I believe you.
Any thoughts?
No.
No? Okay.
No, I'm still on the rabbit trail.
Okay. We have progressivism. So progressivism, I think, is probably very situational and very geographic dependent. Meaning, here in the U.S., a progressive, and dependent on your timeline, like when you are, because we think of left and right in terms of the French Revolution. People sitting on the right side of the French court at the time. You had the king, right? And on the right were his pro-king guys.
Mm-hmm.
On the left were the anti-king guys, and they wanted something besides a king.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where we get our definitions of right and left.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Right is conservative, left is progressive.
Progressive.
Liberal.
Which progressive is defined in our lovely Wikipedia as a left-leaning political philosophy and reform movement that seeks to advance the human condition through social reform.
So that says a definition without really saying what's in that definition, like what we're talking
could
about.
Be
social liberalism.
Yeah, I imagine it could be any number of things, but it's just I guess it'd be that's less about. It's more about what you want to do and less about how you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The progressivism, conservatism axis, whatever, would be just I guess do you want things to keep changing and trying to move towards something different, or do you want it to stay as it is?
You can read into it a lot of different things.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways that it could be achieved. But, so yeah, it seemed like it doesn't tell you a whole lot in terms of what in terms of what else somebody would want or how they would want it, or those sorts of things. It's just that general idea of change, keep things changing and moving in some ideally moving in a better direction. At least that's the attempt, but trying to make change rather than keep things the same.
Right, and using social tools.
Right.
And sometimes against your will,
Mm-hmm.
or collectivism is what, they want to achieve change, yes, but it's more of a social tool that they use instead of economic or political.
And I just, it seems to me like it could be through any of those sorts of means, but I maybe if it's more generally thought of as through social means or whatever, but I guess I would just think of it more broadly, but
well, going into what it's dependent on, and what we can read into it. So a progressive in the time of kings, right? You have a liberal. I guess progressivism and liberal we can categorize together. Well, not necessarily. I take that back. A liberal in the time of the French Revolution would have been someone who Thomas Jefferson would have liked cautiously, and he did. Okay. In his writings, he said, I look forward in optimism to see what this French Revolution brings about, as far as good ideology of freedom and such that mimics the American Revolution. He was mistaken. What came out of the French Revolution was not American freedom, American style freedom that he had hoped for. It was something else, and rather socialist in that time's context. And so a conservative then is leaning towards kings. Well, we don't think that way now. Someone who wants a king now could be seen as progressive because we don't have a king. We haven't for some time now.
Right.
So if you're
but
wanting
they want
to change,
authoritarian.
That would be authoritarianism.
Right.
They may not call it a king, but there are some people who are actually thinking, well, this system has not worked for us. Should we revert to a monarchy? And that would be very progressive.
Okay, well, this is a question on my part. This is just what hits the brain, so I'm asking a question. Okay, during the whole COVID mess, they wanted a figurehead or a government entity to demand everybody bow to that singular opinion. And is that what we're talking about as more of the progressive authoritarianism? Because it's social change demanded by an entity that could mimic a monarchy, if you think about it, in our perception of that kind of, hammer type authority.
I don't feel like progressivism enters into that. Like, I don't think that's that doesn't seem like it has anything to do with progressive versus conservative. Because it's not like we're trying to move society forward or keep it the same. Like, that seems like a separate thing.
Well, and I understand you may be using the progressivism as a more literal, because you progress forward. The way this is defining it is you advance the human condition, which through social reform.
Yeah, and that's the part that, to me, it's like it I don't feel like it would matter how it's achieved. Like, it can still be progressive. Like, if you're trying to move society forward in some manner, that's like, rather than keep it the same, that's progressive. It doesn't matter how it's achieved necessarily. That's what I would assume.
That's just not how our political system uses that word, because.
Well, sure. I mean, and I'm talking.
So connotative versus denotative here.
I'm talking kind of divorced from how, like, a lot of the stuff gets talked about. I'm trying to think of it in terms of, like, how it would actually be defined. But.
Can I throw a wrench in the works?
Oh, just throw a big wrench.
Another wrench. So back in the 50s, there was a big trust of government. People's, you see a flying saucer overhead, and the government man in black shows up and says, I'm from the government. I'm here to help." And everyone says, "Oh, please save us.
Great,
You're here to, we love you." This trust of government hadn't kicked in yet.
Right.
So, and that's very progressive. Well, that would be seen as very trustful government. Big government is here to help you. Trust them, give them all the power that they need, and let them handle it.
Because they have your best interests at heart.
Yes.
They want to move
they love you.
forward.
Well, that to me sounds like that's the authoritarian versus libertarian kind of axis. Like,
it's kind of
where do you want the power to be?
Okay.
Yeah, but my contention, my point is that our timelines are cyclical, right? The high trust government back then, and then they're trying to move towards a high trust of government now.
Nobody wants that.
And
so half the country.
Are we moving forward or moving backward? Like, we're kind of caught in the middle here.
Oh.
So is that old school or is it new school?
Oh.
What are we progressing towards? Both. It depends on when you're talking about, what time period, because there have been cycles before of, high trust government, low trust government, high trust government, low trust. It goes back as far as time. And so these terms are ever changing based on when you are and where you are.
Yeah, like, I definitely agree. Like, that's why, in my mind, it's, kept, broad. It's like, it's just a, keep it changing and evolving. Towards what, that's, a different question. But it's just, progressivism would just say, don't stay where you're at, keep trying to, do something different or whatever.
I was getting ready to ask. So that is as opposed to people who want change to happen terribly slowly, if at all. Yeah,
it's like, I think, like, it seems to me like, it would be a, however fast you want change to happen is, the farther you are on the progressive, axis or whatever. That's how I would think of it.
For example, I've heard who in Britain, people who we would classify as conservatives here, Christian, proper Englishmen, people who enjoy the history of England, and want to preserve it. They're saying our government, our country is so far gone that we are no longer classifying ourselves as conservatives. Because it's been so long since the things we like have been in place. The history that we want to preserve has been in place. So we are now no longer calling ourselves conservatives. I don't think we should. We are now reformationists or something of that nature.
Okay.
So the conservatives of the country now are far leftist by our standards.
Yeah.
And these people we're talking about are American-style conservatives in the English sense. And so they're like, we need a revolution to 2 steps prior. We're not 1 step looking back and romanticizing. We're romanticizing 2 steps or 3 steps back to the England of maybe the 60s or 50s or 40s, or 30s even, that we love and want to cherish and preserve again. That doesn't exist anymore. It's been so far degraded and torn down. That we are now revolutionaries and looking to build something that is already gone. There's no conserving it.
I knew they had been. I heard a couple of fellows talking about the difference between our definitions of left and right and Britain's definition of left and right, and they do not mean the same thing.
Well, they don't have any conservatives over there.
Yeah.
That we would call them.
Yeah, they've gone so hard toward what we would call the left that there's no more recognizable right.
Yeah.
From our definitionals.
They have socialists and socialist light.
Yeah. Yeah, and look what they've done to their country.
Yeah. So
it's kind of sad.
Progressivism, I think, is a floating definition. I think Tal would agree.
Yeah. In terms of what specifically it entails,
It's hard to pin it down based on its own standalone definition because it's very dependent on
it's like
a lot of other factors.
The results could be widely what you are trying to progress towards could vary wildly, but it's just the idea that you're trying to change things.
Right.
Yeah, towards whatever it might be. That's how I think of it.
Okay.
So we're
not a bad way to look at it.
We're kind of progressive, right? Yeah.
I want things to change, but stay away from my mouse, man. Okay. Yeah, I want things to change. I want it to originate within the individual and not with the government.
Yeah.
I want that change to be the individual is responsible for making changes in themselves and their immediate surroundings, and then all of them move forward. Perhaps
that's a variation on that thought process, progressivism versus reformationism. Reformationism seems like it would involve the individual, something coming out of their hearts and their souls, versus progressivism, imposed from the outside. Yes, that's how I'm seeing it in my head. And you can say you're a reformer without being a military revolutionist. Use your words. Convince people. Yeah, convince people. Debate. Debate without degrading into personal attacks. Just good discussion until your ideas do get better.
Seems like that's basically on the authority versus liberty spectrum. Where you want the change to come from. Yep, that's true too.
So that could be libertarian leftists. That would be like convincing people that economic left or socialist left is the way to go, as long as you don't force them to do that. But that's very few people do that.
Yeah, if you're you talking about we want freedom, but we want it instituted by the government or something. It's just trying to look at various definitions of things. Social liberalism or progressive liberalism. Endorses social justice, social services, a mixed economy, and the expansion of civil and political rights, as opposed to classical liberalism, which favors limited government and an overall laissez-faire form of governance. While both are committed to personal freedom, social liberalism places greater emphasis on the role of government in addressing social inequalities and ensuring public welfare. So it sounds like that sort of thing. Like, you know, we want freedoms, but we want them to be, you know, governmentally enforced. Social, you know, like freedoms.
That almost sounds conservative.
Well, authoritarian conservative, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, because if you're still wanting government, if you want to abdicate your personal responsibility, then you're going to throw it to the government, which is the authoritarian. So even if you're on the right, you know, or conservative, whatever, if you're hoping the government can get your ideology put in place, to me that you're abdicating your personal responsibility. You know.
Well, okay.
Keep that right here. But that's I'm opinioning, not defining. So
The reason why I say that is because that kind of sounds conservative in the sense that, like, maybe neocon conservatism, because someone's aggressing against you.
Mm-hmm.
This man is parking his car on my lawn, doggone it, and I need that to stop.
Uh-huh.
He's encroaching on my freedom,
Mm-hmm.
and my property. Okay, well, I'm gonna go tell the city about that,
Mm-hmm.
and the city comes and says, "Hey, stop putting your car there. Move it off." And the guy says, "No." Well, they're gonna take his car away. They're gonna tow it away,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't care where it goes. They can put it back on his side. They can take it away. I don't know, but that's freedom enforced by the government,
Right.
and that's what a lot of us would say. That's very reasonable, right?
Yes, I would say that's reasonable.
So
yes.
you can mess with these definitions
Oh my gosh.
to no end and make it make sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I just, you know, for what it's worth, you know, talking about, just, you know, my definitions and all that thing. I was searching around. I found you know, it's like the political compass isn't good enough. An 8-dimensional political compass, where it's like you get, you know, 4, you know, 2, you know, well, no, it's like you get 4 grids of 2 axes apiece.
Okay.
It's like,
Oh my gosh. So it's
Like,
like
it's
a
a lot more.
cube or something?
no, it's just 4 grids next to each other.
Oh, 4 grids next to each other.
Mhm.
Do you have a visual?
I went ahead and went through.
Oh, wow.
That's just a you know, scatter, like plot of where
like a
people
plot.
where results have ended up,
Okay.
but yeah, it's like it breaks it down a bit more that I kind of like. But anyways,
I have no idea where I would end up.
So that would be like this. You're right. It's kind of a sphere.
Oh, wow.
So
Got a
far
bunch
here,
of
it wraps around to here, and that would make sense. It's like going
Yeah.
diagonally that way.
Uh-huh. Where's that one at?
I don't think it exists, but this one.
No, that grid.
talking about what I'm looking at. What he's
Well,
looking at is something different.
It's on
His-
Reddit, but it looks up.
His has the political ideologies.
Look
like,
up political
scattered
compass
across.
by ideology.
What? Do what?
On DuckDuckGo, I put in political compass by ideology,
By ideology.
and it just did a smattering of different ideologies on the compass.
Okay, let's see.
And it's from Reddit, apparently.
What website is it on?
Reddit.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
on
you're not
Reddit.
gonna-
Yeah,
Google.
someone
You
put
just
it on
said that.
Reddit.
Yeah, so that's not going to be a very good starting point to search from. Like, it'd be a way to look through the results, but don't start your search from there.
No.
Unless you got the exact subreddit and the name of the, like, you know, start from the exact subreddit and get the name of the post. That would potentially work. But
Political compass labeled with 8 values. Something ...
yeah.
Labeled with 8 values. Well, if I could spell right. Okay. All possible 8 values results analysis.
Do images.
Okay, here it comes. Dun, dun, dun. Hello. Yeah. Oh, that one.
That's it.
Okay, I found it. Yeah, okay, the formal title, political and compass labeled with 8 values, no space, ideologies. And it came up with that. Okay. Oh, I like that one.
Mhm.
You look that one up.
So I guess moving on.
Yeah.
Conservatism and neoconservatism. So once again, this is kind of a floating idea, a floating definition. What are you conserving? And I guess neoconservatism is more in the context of the last 40 years in the United States.
Yeah.
But conservatism, once again, in the realm of the French Revolution that we derive our ideas from, at least as far as left and right, pro-monarchy. We don't think of that much now, but conserving American values of the 20th century is, I think, what most people talk about when they think current day conservatism. Or neoconservatism is conserving the ideas of the 20th century, right? The liberal economic order in which you have free trade among different countries, you have graph always go up, right?
Okay.
Ever growth, more businesses, more economic development, this and that. And that was very pro Western economic order, liberal economic order. And prior to that, I think what we're coming around towards again in the younger generations is paleo-conservatism, in which we're going back one step farther than the 20th century. We're kind of played out on the liberal economic order. That experiment has not panned out for us. Worked wonders for the boomers, right? Because every phase of life, they've oriented government towards what they needed.
Right.
In the 80s, it was stock market investment, high-powered businesses, supercharge the economy so we can make our money.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the 90s, it was, okay, we're going to slow it down, we're going to enjoy our lives. Now we're in their retirement phase, and they're juicing up the retirement programs and maintaining those property values or increasing those property values without concern for, okay, who's going to buy these things?
Right. Are you making it impossible for the next generation to buy?
And so a lot of this has, and most individuals are not thinking this way, but it's the collective hive mind of a generation not thinking of the future generations. Like, okay, we're going to make it
or not being
willing
to sacrifice for that future generation.
Right. So neoconservatism, I think, has burnt itself out as an idea. 20th century, fine, but what was before that? Paleoconservatism, the values that developed, that gave us the wonderful things that came in the 20th century, the economic growth and the ability to do those cool things. Okay, what was the common thought of the 1800s, late 1800s and the mid 1800s? We had Christian values. You had go to church all the time. You had community of like-minded individuals, and a community composed of not diverse people, because diversity is not our strength, as it turns out. Diversity is our downfall as a society.
People weaponizing it would be the downfall. Well,
you look at strong countries, and they have a lot of homogeneity. Japan, right? That was a wonderful, strong country back pre World War II. Very homogenous. You look at Europe at the time, very homogenous, very strong countries. America at the time, very homogenous.
And you mean homogenous as in like priorities or ideology?
Ideology, national intent. Right? They were a community of like-minded individuals.
Okay.
And they didn't say, we're going to bring people who disagree with us from Somalia. We're going to suck those people into our country at a higher rate and give them their own community.
So we're not talking race, we're talking belief systems.
I think not race as in one's genetics necessarily, but countries have different ideologies and priorities. And oftentimes they're of a different race than a different country. Right. With different priorities. And so the people of England think differently than the people of Somalia.
Right.
or Pakistan.
Cultural
And so
differences.
by virtue of being on opposite sides of the world, of course they're going to be different race, but that's not the primary.
Yeah, I'd say probably
Intent
it seems like more of a cultural thing.
Yeah, culture.
Okay. Just want to make sure we.
Yeah, we're not being racist here, but that is a side effect of different countries have different. They value different things.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, but even if you talk about cultural things, we've had culture in the United States weaponized.
Mm-hmm.
We have Portland, Oregon to show for that.
Portland, Oregon.
So.
Detroit, you have Little Somalia. What is it? Minnesota.
I was going to say Minnesota is
what's that town?
Headed that direction.
With all the Somalis.
Mm.
Dearborn, Michigan.
Okay.
Full of Somalis. And they are in government, they're in police force, they're prioritizing different things. And they say it openly.
Okay.
So the point being, homogeneity is not necessarily a bad thing in a community.
Right.
And you have to defend it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people are going back to paleoconservatism in the United States context as a way of insulating themselves against the progressive, the progressive ideas that have taken root.
Mm-hmm.
And so saying we value Christian ideas, we value church, we value Enlightenment ideals that came from Old England. And our ancestors brought over on the Mayflower in the Pilgrim days.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you have the split of neoconservatives versus conservative.
Conservative against paleo-conservatives? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, meaning old.
Mm-hmm. Or foundational. That's that's the word I wrote down. Foundational. Things that actually permitted the culture that fostered the United States to be what they are today, to be as successful as, and we're not such a Christian nation anymore, but the willingness to commit to the Constitution, things that provided the basic conditions that we flourished in, but we've tried to destroy through change that wasn't healthy change.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of that was post World War II.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that.
I think that was the defining line, because as culturally, we have not seen prior to that in our mind's eye for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Everything pre-World War II was kind of strange to us, value-wise. Like, people of 1912, we don't relate to as well as people of 1945.
Right.
For some reason, even though they believed largely the same things.
The example that I'm thinking of in my head is like the educational system, or lack thereof. What created the Industrial Revolution was not public schooling. It was individual families taking care to educate their children, whether it was they themselves teaching the children or bringing tutors in, or giving them practical experience. But that's what provided that foundational circumstance where all of a sudden you have, the Industrial Revolution. And that's a totally different mindset between now and back then.
And I think I remember seeing I don't remember how many of the political compass tests it was on, but at least on a couple of them, it's like, it was basically, the question was basically, essentially boiled down, it's like, were things better before or after the Industrial Revolution? Which to me is like, it's like, seems like a strange question, but
it depends on what you're talking
about.
So I don't remember what exactly it said.
The steam engine was a fantastic invention. Gave us a lot of things. Then the internal combustion engine did a lot of things for us that we couldn't do before. you can only do so much with horses, ropes, and pulleys.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, the Industrial Revolution did open a gateway to hell. That is, that was.
With
all
every
started
monumental change, yes.
with Elvis wiggling his hips, and that accelerated that.
Oh. Hey, don't bring Elvis into it. Okay.
Maybe it was just a weird question, maybe because I don't know enough about political type stuff. Did I look at that as like, what's wrong with the Industrial Revolution? It's like because to me is like the industrial, because my limited knowledge of it basically just says we just like technology was like I don't really think much beyond that. So
go ahead.
I have an answer for that.
Go ahead.
It gave people too much time.
You think?
I'm serious about this. We had too much time on our hands, so we gave into our vices.
Oh.
We gave into our degeneracy, and people back when they didn't have time, they had to work. Okay.
All the time.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm in the middle of nowhere, the frontier, basically. I've got to build a house. Okay. Otherwise, we're going to live in a tent forever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I better cut some trees down. I spend all day cutting trees. Me and the boy. Right. Now we build our cabin. We notch them. We mortar, all that stuff. Once we have a cabin built, we plant some crops. We work the fields. We build our cattle farm. All that. They had no time for vices.
Yeah.
And what little downtime they had, they went to church.
Mm-hmm.
They developed their family. They said, we're going to read our Bible. And you had only one Bible.
Mm-hmm.
You took care of that. You put it in a place of reverence.
Yeah.
Because if you lost that Bible or something happened to it, well, you weren't reading the Word of God anymore.
Without it, yeah.
And you had no entertainment. You didn't have the portal to hell in your pocket.
So
It's what it is.
It's like
I'm sorry. I know you're right. But
I guess like there's more capacity for vice rather than virtue in your free time.
You had to be more intentional with your time and with your resources.
Well, I just mean like like it sounds like the idea being that in your free time you're more likely to trend towards vice rather than virtue.
Oh yeah, because we don't have to worry about all right, I got to go down to the river and get water. It's on tap, so we have a lot more time for what. So like a sort of Star Trek-esque post-scarcity society would be like the ultimate bad. Oh yeah, people. So the rat experiment.
Oh.
They had everything they wanted on tap. No, they didn't have to go out and find seeds or whatever. Like most mice do or rats do. They had everything they wanted right on hand, and they gluttoned themselves to death.
Right.
Right. They groomed themselves to death. They lost all sense of morality. Or what morals rats have.
Yeah, it's like
they started eating their young. They started not having young.
It's like what I primarily remembered from what I saw was basically just like they all became more like, well, it was kind of weird because as I recall, it was describing like simultaneously they didn't want to do things like eat or whatever by themselves. They wanted to always do that with other rats, but then simultaneously they would like only come out of their living space whenever there was nobody else around, or like obviously a lot of the big thing that I saw was the population decline thing.
They stopped,
but it was more like just a I guess like a broadly like asocial sort of environment to a degree. So I guess I didn't see anything about like eating their young or like crazy stuff like that. It was just like they just didn't interact with each other, I guess. But
I think the culture that gave us the Industrial Revolution was good. Once we got there, I think that was the downfall of
they didn't know
Western
what to do with
society.
it once they had that success. And the same thing is happening again, if you think about it. Yeah. We've had the tech revolution. That was, right, and it's still, it kind of, we had the first big push. Well, I did, before the internet, people. We had the push after the internet and then all the stuff, the social stuff. And now we're hitting it again with the AI, and I am a fan, so don't take it that way. But it's the same thing, that same industrial revolution that gave you so much good. If it's not handled with the right sort of ethics, it becomes a vice. You know, it feeds the ability to focus on your vice. But here we go again. And if we don't train ourselves to manage the AI properly, and then I don't want to go the authoritarian route. I want to go hey, let's have some personal ethics. How are you going to use this? And is it legitimate? Are you making sure people know what is AI generated versus what I would call true creativity, pure creativity? So we've got another one of those situations waiting to drop. And I hope we get ahead of it, because we did not get ahead of that. The social bit of that has destroyed a whole two generations. I would say about 1.5, because I think about half that generation of one of those said, you know, I've watched Tao just, you know, how long did you have that flip phone? You know, you controlled your access to how you used that tech, which this is great stuff. I'm not going to go bad phone. This is great stuff, and it's a great learning tool. But if you don't approach it with self-control and a strong ethical, you know, foundation, it will ruin your life. So
it's already ruining society.
Yes.
And human society was not meant to have this sort of connection with people that we are not in a community with. It's messing with things in a weird way. We don't know what to do with it. Our brains don't know how to manage it properly.
Yeah, I would go more the route of, like, you know, the technology advances faster than the, you know, social understanding or conventions and laws and all those sorts of things can.
Understanding how it can damage, you know, the damage versus good, you know, because we didn't understand how damaging that thing could be. I don't think any of us had a clue. And this is as the parent of, you know, children who were growing up with that technology as it grew. And I had no idea. I knew that its connection to the internet was a risk, and you have to manage that risk with anything. You have to manage the risk when your child goes out to play. And so I knew to manage the risk, but I didn't know how powerful it was going to become, how controlling it was going to become, or I would have been way more conservative with, you know, having that technology available. So, yeah, I'm jumping back, and I know that. I really hope we're thinking through the impact of AI and that next wave, because I don't want to see another 2 generations destroyed by a lack of understanding.
And by the time we figure that out, something else will have replaced it.
You'll be dealing with the next wave. Yeah. So I don't think it. How did you put it? How it destroyed pieces of culture. You said it earlier, and I can't remember now. I'll figure it out when I have to do the post-production.
Yeah. Anyways, what are we conserving, I guess, is the encompassing of conservatism versus progressivism. What are you progressing towards or away from, and what are you conserving? And that will flip-flop at opposite of each other. They're negatives.
Depending on culture.
Depending on time, place, and culture. So a conservative, a paleoconservative now can be considered a form of progressive, because they are not interested in conserving
what exists right now.
The liberal economic order of the Reagan era.
Mm.
They're saying,
Mm.
well, Reagan did a few good things, but largely he was a leftist of today.
He's from California.
Yeah. And so we're not interested in preserving whatever he was interested in preserving, because he did a crap job. We're interested in going back before that, so we are progressives or reformationists. I think they would probably rather be called. We are looking to reform our society.
It's like keep the stuff that was good,
Yes,
but get rid of the stuff that was bad and replace it with stuff that's more
rebuild.
Yes, foundational.
Foundational rebuilding. If an old building's crumbling, you may not be able to save all of it, but you can build. At a certain point, you just have to knock it down and build something that looks exactly the same.
Wait.
Well, so,
knock it down and build something that looks exactly the same.
Yeah, so if you let an old building go, say an old downtown brick building, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And there's cracks this wide in it, and half the things falling off, and you're like, great building. I like the initial design. I think it's a little far gone to save.
Yeah.
Maybe we just knock it down and maybe use some of the same hardware.
Mm-hmm.
We save some stuff out of it, and we look at the blueprints and say, let's build another one just like it.
Just stronger materials,
yes.
maybe?
Stronger materials. Let's do it better this time. Being mindful of the historical context of it, we don't change too much. Maintain the original intent, the maker's intent. The maker's intent. But build it back, because the old one's too far gone. So I don't know.
I could see that. I'm thinking. Okay, what are we gonna yeah. I'm gonna save those thoughts for later.
Antifa / Black Bloc.
Black Bloc? What is that?
What you saw in do you remember Occupy Wall Street movement?
Yes. Oh yeah.
That was the beginning of Black Bloc. Back in 2009?
Oh, I can't. Was it that far back?
2009-ish, I think.
The Wall Street thing? Wow, how time flies. That doesn't seem like that was very long ago.
But Occupy Wall Street was the beginning of Black Bloc, in that it was a tactic of basically socialists to commit crimes without being caught. So what they would do is they'd all dress in black, and of course that's been taken on by Antifa, which is the modern iteration of Black Bloc, of the guys who were doing Occupy Wall Street.
Okay.
And they put on black masks, they put on their hoodies, black hoodies, and they're dressed in all black. And you can go out and, as a mob, firebomb things, turn over cars, do whatever, assault people. And
I was thinking of something else.
If someone sees you and says, hey, stop that, well, in court, even if you catch the guy, the defense is going to say, the Soros-hired prosecutor is going to say, or defense is going to say, well, can you be 110% certain, beyond a shadow of a doubt, being the legal context, that it was this person and not any of the other people who were dressed exactly the same? And you have to say...
Even if you had him by the scruff.
Even if I grabbed him by the wrist, and the cop says, well, yeah, I grabbed him, but can you be sure beyond a reasonable doubt that between the time that he committed the crime and you grabbed him, that it wasn't someone else that is dressed exactly like him and you couldn't see his face?
Wow.
I guess not. And the jury's going to say, well, based on that, we can't convict him.
Interesting.
We can't, in good conscience, convict someone who it could have been anyone else. So let them go. And off they go, having committed the crime.
Is that the
And they do it all the time.
Is that the same rationale where they just send mobs? Like Portland?
Portland.
There's so many people committing
Seattle.
crimes.
Yeah.
Crimes you can't. Well, it's not you can't. They didn't do anything.
That was rampant in 2020. That was the entirety of their strategy. Was Black Bloc.
Operandi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Detroit, Seattle, Portland, Kenosha, all these places, Dallas even, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, all these places, they were doing Black Bloc and committing crimes, starting fires, firebombing that one courthouse, the federal courthouse.
Where was that one?
I think that was Seattle. is one of those lefter places.
Okay.
And they barricaded the place and they firebombed it and everything.
I vaguely remember that, but I don't remember many details. So.
But they got away with it.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them, because you can't convict them. You don't know beyond a shadow of a doubt that
which one actually did the damage. Like, wow. Okay, well that's a new one for me.
So that's Black Bloc, and commonly associated with Antifa. I would say we can drop that in the bucket of leftist authoritarianism. Well, okay, maybe left anarchism.
Yeah.
Well, that can
I don't
be both.
know.
It's kind of hard to say, because if you're not doing what they want, what the mob wants, they'll come after you. Like the McCluskeys. You're familiar with them?
Mm-mm.
Back during 2020 again. They went into this neighborhood, this well-to-do neighborhood. And they knocked down someone's gate.
Uh-huh.
They're on this person's lawn.
Oh, and they defended themselves.
Well, the lady came out with a revolver and she was like flagging people left and right, and she didn't know what she was doing. The guy had an M16 or an AR-15, but in the M16 length in A2, and he was ready to go to town on them.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't. He pointed it down. He was waving it around, and he went to jail. It was in Missouri.
I do remember that.
He went to jail.
I was deeply offended.
And he eventually got the charges dropped.
Uh-huh.
He forfeited his weapons and everything. But
so he had to give up his weapons?
Yes. Yeah, he had to make
it offends me now.
Yeah, he has to make some concessions. But
because he was defending his home.
They were the aggressors on his property,
but they're the ones that got punished.
Yes.
The homeowners. Yeah, that
offends me now. That's very mob oriented.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, it's anarchism. The mob's going to do what the mob's going to do, and you can't quite control them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's authoritarian in the sense of you try and be independent of them, and the state's going to come after you, and not. They know they can't control the mob, but they can control you. So that's what they call.
That doesn't even make logical sense.
So that's what they call anarcho-tyranny, in which the mob can do whatever they want, and they can't punish the mob, but you have to pay your traffic tickets, or otherwise they'll take your property away. So rules for thee, but not for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Depending on ideology. So it kind of floats between those two. Black Bloc does. And Antifa.
Okay, well, where does because when you said the Black Bloc, when you said that and you said Occupy Wall Street, what I was thinking of was when and I'm going to say it so badly, but when like a group of people went in and bought a certain, I don't know if it was stock. I think it was a block of stock that just like...
That was funny.
I can't explain it, but
was
when
GameStop, I think?
Game Exchange.
Game Exchange, yeah. And
blew through the roof.
Yeah. And because in the way I'm relating to that was individuals coming together to effect change. But they did it in a really funny way.
Well, if you can... If there's one thing I've learned is that if the internet can make a joke out of something, they will.
Yes.
It's like there's nothing that can unite the internet like embarrassing people
the
at
powers
large
that be.
That sort of thing, like just doing something dumb just to show that they can, or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, go look up the situation if I don't.
Well, never forget when Mountain Dew held their flavor naming contest.
Yes.
And and what the internet chose for that.
Yes. So that is, but see, maybe the reason why I like that, why it makes me smile, is because that was not. It didn't originate in the government or the banking system. It originated with the people en masse deciding for themselves we're going to do this thing, we're going to invest in this thing,
For the
which
means.
is their right. It is their individual right.
See, this makes me think again. It's like, hey, it's like, okay, don't like, what, all these newfangled technological advancements. It's like that some of this stuff wouldn't be possible without, or
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes, I do appreciate the good meme.
Yeah. And I
No,
like the
so-
technological advancement. I really do. I hate it that we can't seem to manage it ourselves. That we can't. We've lost the ability to do critical thinking and get way ahead of something. How can brainstorm and how can this thing go bad and or good in the case of
it allows
game exchange thing.
it allows great knowledge to proliferate, but also great stupidity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tao can do it better in a shorter amount of words than I can, but yeah.
I'm sure many would point to the resurgence of flat Earth belief to to that sort of thing. Saying, something, if it gets, if somebody just finds whatever weird idea on the internet and are able to find enough about it without they look enough at one thing without taking into consideration the rest of it. It's like all those sorts of things just allow you to you can go a lot forward and you can go a lot backward. But
This is true.
Yeah, so going back to the Industrial Revolution and tying to that thought, the Industrial Revolution just it acted as the accelerant for all the
for society at large.
society,
Yeah.
and the sine waves thereof, good and bad, just got more accentuated. Whereas before, so someone in the 1830s, their life looked a lot like someone in the 1730s, whose life didn't look all that different from someone in the 1630s.
Change would come very slowly.
Yeah,
Right.
and
they could manage that.
yeah, and before that, not even just a lot like someone in 1550, their life looked identical, literally down to the T, to someone in 1330. They did things exactly the same. They had the same materials at hand. They had the same structures, and nothing changed. Maybe besides a few boundaries, but
So what are we willing to sacrifice? I mean, because I do want technology to grow. I do want industrial.
You want people's lives to be easier so that they have more free time to engage in their vices?
I want them to do what happens if they handle it properly, and that gives it. How do you say this? With every advancement, we fill the holes that time leaves, and you can fill it with good, or you can fill it with bad.
Yeah, and that's what I was, saying earlier with, do you think that the tendency is more towards, to fill that time with vice rather than virtue, that sort of thing?
Right. And I would, while I know the normal tendency of man is to go to vice, I want all these things to grow so that we can fill those gaps with more advancement, more good, more self-determined good, not government forcing you to do good. And I want that to just multiply. That's what we've done.
Improve quality of life.
Yes, improve quality of life, length of life, whatever. Don't stagnate. That's worse. Trust me. Stagnate, they'll go for vice.
So progressive.
I know, which scared me.
Tear down those fences.
So
Man.
no.
Which one are? It's like
Progressive from a libertarian standpoint, in the definitions we've been using them. The way the political structure right now, no, it's not progressivism. It's more libertarian / anarcho. Okay, so it all just trickles back down to personal responsibility. We are responsible with what is given to us in technology and, the way we produce things, mass production, or we're also responsible for what we create artistically.
Yeah.
And so you cannot, I'll just say it in the positive way. I want all those things, but I want people to do their part. I don't want them to abdicate responsibility not to the church. I don't want them to abdicate their responsibility to the government. I don't want them to abdicate responsibility to whoever happens to be in authority over them at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to themselves think critically and choose properly. And yes, as a believer in God and Jesus, that is what will keep you in a good place. Without that, as an individual, without that, you don't really have, I can't say that. I was going to say you don't have the self-control. You don't have the methodology available to you to make the right decisions. But there are good people who could care less about God. And when I say good, I mean they do good in the world, not as in their soul is good with the Creator. So your best plan would be to find your foundational conservatism or whatever you want to call it, but the foundational thing should be a belief in the Creator. And that gives you what you need to make all these other decisions properly.
Mm-hmm. I will say, and this is kind of off on our tangent away from these definitions.
Let's just be on a tangent.
But modern technology has given people the ability to not grow up.
Yes, absolutely.
And well into their 30s, 40s,
Mm-hmm.
and they're still acting as, someone who's in college.
Mm-hmm.
They're going around, I don't know, they've not matured to a point where someone before these things
Mm-hmm.
would have had to have, or they wouldn't have made it.
Right.
So I think that would be my one critique of technology
Mm-hmm.
as it's been. It's enabled people to do things that would have starved them in prior times.
Mm-hmm. Right. And
If you didn't buck up and build your cabin,
you're
dying
going to die that winter.
Yeah, you're not going to make it if you don't, like the pilgrims in Jamestown.
Yes.
They've tried socialism. People got lazy.
Yep.
And then they starved because they said, well, someone else who does their work will provide for me.
Right.
I'm going to be lazy and I'm not going to pick my potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to plant my potatoes or whatever, harvest my corn or even plant the corn. I'm not going to do what I need to do to make sure I don't die.
Mm-hmm.
That childishness got them
Dead.
Can
I throw another little caveat in there? Yes, it kept people from maturing maybe as they ought, and of course that's personal responsibility. People have also lost their maturity. I mean, I've seen grown people, younger than me and older than me, that stopped being who they were supposed to be because they spent glued to that phone. Or and it's not just your phone, it's your tablet or your laptop or your TV, but they've stayed fixated on that so much that they've lost maturity that they gained. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden they when you're all at the dinner table, at Thanksgiving, they're on their phone instead of, speaking with each other and, not working as they ought, so they can't pay their bills, or their brain is deteriorating. I know I'm not going to mention the game in particular, but I played a game for probably a couple of years, just, zone out, go to sleep. That's what I did to, get my brain to shut off, which should have been a warning right there. Use it to get your brain to shut off. I noticed that my sharpness was starting to suffer. And it was strictly because of that game. I mean, I narrowed it down. I'm like one of those people, I analyze everything. Narrowed it down to that one game. I stopped. Boy, it snapped right back. All of a sudden, my ability to focus was better. My ability to remember things was better. So I stopped playing that game. It's like, whew, that's one thing that I know has a negative effect on my ability to function as an adult. Well, you compound that by all the other things that we do online, on phones, and all of a sudden you are a weaker human as a result.
Mm-hmm.
And so it can kind of go from both. That was the long way of saying it comes from both sides. You can grow up in it and be dwarfed, or you can go backwards. You can regress into less maturity.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that, of course, because I'm older, that's really sad. I mean, we need all the mental faculties we can harness. We don't need to be chopping it up and throwing it out the window. So, yeah. Be careful, please.
Yes. Disregard the advent of the steam engine. Go back to horse.
Yeah.
Revert to horse.
I don't want you to go back to horse. I want you to operate in self-control.
Not so far as return to monkey.
No,
Yeah,
no, too far back.
Don't go to throwing poo. That's not a good idea. It's what monkeys do.
Nah, steam trains are cool. I like
Yeah, you like trains.
I like choo-choo.
I hear a lot of trains.
I like trains.
Mm-hmm.
I swear I'm not autistic.
I just
have
like
we?
trains.
What?
Yeah.
No, go away is my train time.
Yeah. Have we talked about collectivism versus
No,
individualism?
that would be next.
Oh, okay, cool.
So collectivism, commonly associated with the left.
Well, how long do you want to go?
We need to. Do we need to be somewhere at 5 or 5:30? We had been knocking it to 5. In that case, we could just have a few more minutes.
Just don't want to. Yeah, if you're wanting to.
Yeah, if it's
Depending
a big
on when
discussion.
depending on when you want to quiz, like if you did whether or not you wanted to get started on a big discussion. But it looks like hour and a half mark.
Hour and a half mark? Okay. Adrian, I guess this would be a you judgment call. Is collectivism versus like individualism a long discussion?
Well,
Is there more that we can cover after that? Or because if
There
we
was-
can add it to a different.
there was collectivism, capitalism, and Islamic countries.
Okay.
I guess how that interacts with, the progressivism, conservatism side of things, like, what does conservatism look like there versus what does conservatism look like here? I don't know. And what bucket do we drop Islamic countries in? Conservative or progressive? I don't know.
Okay, and let's just
Next time.
let's do it. Let's stop here and then we'll do this next time. But let's throw in there, because it's not just Islamic whatever ideologies, but we have other countries, Israel. They're like part socialist, part I don't know what you call their governing system, because you have these kibbutz that are very, very I guess socialist, but voluntary socialism. And so I don't know. It's a very unique system, but and then you have like monarchies. I don't know. We've talked about that a little bit, but.
Yeah, monarchies is good.
Okay. So, well, and we haven't talked about anarchism. I don't want to get down into
Oh yeah.
anarcho-Christianity or anarcho-capitalism or whatever.
We've already done one on anarcho-Christianity.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
There's lots of bits left in there, so that's what we'll handle next time.
Yeah.
And how do you want to end?
Well, I guess take our ramblings with the context of,
A grain of salt?
No.
No, what?
I think they're worth something, but
Okay.
take our ramblings as just one interpretation of these definitions of these terms. Other people may have more insight into them than we.
Oh, yeah.
For Nick Freitas, he's a legislator in West. Yeah, Nick Freitas in West Virginia, I think. He's a legislator in their state House of Representatives, I think. He's just retiring from that. He has a good breakdown of Nazism versus socialism and how he thinks Nazism is a brand of socialism. Worth a listen. Highly recommend that. Beyond that, I guess we'll see next time for more definitions of and buckets of political compass things.
There's a quote, and I'm stealing it from somebody else, so don't, no, I don't need the credit for it, but we're not telling you what to think. We're giving you a whole lot to think about.
Yes.
So we're not saying that every Christian's got to believe one way or another way. We're just saying, think about it, please, because your thoughts impact everybody around you. So.
Yes. All right. Well, we'll see you next time on our Cast Iron IronCast.
Okay. Hit the button.